In recent weeks, President Obama has been using the bully pulpit to champion causes from financial regulation to clean energy to health care reform. But his latest cause may be dearest to his heart, and that is bringing the Olympics to his hometown of Chicago. Obama is considering taking a trip to Copenhagen on October 2nd for the International Olympic Committee meeting to make a personal plea for the 2016 Summer Olympics. Chicago is competing with Madrid, Tokyo, and Rio de Janeiro as host city. Senior advisor Valerie Jarrett telling Bloomberg Obama has not made a decision yet as to if he'll appear and give a closing argument for Chicago. Patrick Ryan, the chairman of Chicago's bid committee, says his team is preparing one final pitch, and he says Obama's presence will be a, quote, positive factor.
All right, so what would be the economic impact for Chicago if the city does get awarded the 2016 games? Here to speak with us today is Professor Harvey Newman from Georgia State University. Harvey is a specialist in urban policy. Welcome to the show, Professor Newman. Let me ask you, first of all, there's a lot of estimates out there about how much Chicago would benefit, but a lot of them are taken from some pretty shaky studies or some pretty shaky figures that are old and dated and in different currencies.
It's difficult to know what the economic impact will be on Chicago. The estimates for Atlanta were $5.14 billion as the total economic impact on Atlanta for hosting the games.
Is there always going to be a positive impact? I mean, are there not concerns that you end up losing money when you spend so much money to build new stadiums, bring in security? People have to leave the city, of course, who live there that don't want to deal with everything. And in the end, maybe you don't generate enough revenue?
That's probably not going to happen simply because of the size of the event. We attracted more than 2 million people during the two-week period that we hosted the Olympics in 1996 in Atlanta. So you get a tremendous impact. Plus, you get all of the buildup. Between 1990 and 1996, there was an incredible investment in the city. If you spend $1.7 billion getting ready for the games, you're going to have a significant economic impact, job creation, just an enormous number of benefits.
Professor Newman, a city often does it to kind of raise the recognition of itself. Chicago, though, a pretty well-known, city, really globally. It's a major city, obviously, of the United States, and pretty well-known globally. I mean, do they kind of need to do this to raise recognition?
It helps in a global economy to have your name put before the public on a global scale. Atlanta, of course, was not particularly well known prior to the Olympics, but after the games, surveys around the world said, yes, indeed, we know Atlanta, and in fact, the best estimate is that more than 3.5 billion people watch the games in Atlanta, some portion of the Olympics, which would be roughly 70% of the Earth's population. That's promotion on an enormous scale.
What is the effect after the Olympics? I mean, what do you see, for example, in the case of Atlanta? A lot of the jobs created, and I think there's an estimate that the Chicago Olympics would create 80,000 jobs, are just short-term jobs. Obviously, you've got giant structures to deal with. Is it a problem, or is it really a win-win situation?
We expected to have a downturn in the economy, as Barcelona and Seoul had experienced after their Olympic Games, but it did not happen. We continued at almost a feverish pace of growth throughout the rest of the decade. So it attracted investment before the games, and that continued after the event as well.
Professor Newman, I know we're really kind of talking about the economics and the financials of getting the Olympics, but what do you think about, the president essentially maybe kind of lobbying on behalf of his hometown city?
I think it's an exciting possibility, and obviously if Atlanta had Jimmy Carter in the White House, we probably would have sent him to represent us as well.
All right, we're going to leave it on that note. Professor Newman, thank you so much. Harvey Newman of Georgia State University joining us on this Thursday.